Aaron, are you doing the normally what Ben does? I can do this episode.
You do, and then you'll do tonight.
You do the off-road podcast, and then I'll do the tonight.
Okay.
All right, going live. This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Power Tank, and Medical Gear Outfitters.
Off-Road Podcast 279, Milestar Tires.
Tonight, Aaron does some more planning, Jeremy fixes some more Jeeps, and Ben gets his mouth worked on. Something's wrong with the music, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it.
It's not playing.
Uh-oh. What happens?
I'm not
going to say the next part till I hear that music.
Yeah.
We're in business.
There we go. Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people like these guys in the off-road industry. I'm your host, Aaron, and I'm here with my co-host, Jeremy, and Ben is not here.
But is he going to be here?
Time will tell.
Well, this week in review is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting to have a casualty on the trail? Check out medicalgearoutfitters.com to get straightened out. Medical Gear Outfitters has everything you need, whether you're going out for the weekend or you're traveling on a year-long expedition. Head over there to get off-road specific kits that meet all of your needs. And when you're shopping there, don't forget to use the coupon code Off-Road Podcast, all one word, and you will get 10% off.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, what have you been up to this week?
I actually just finished unloading my truck from my last trip to Nevada, which was a couple weeks ago, and just cemented it yesterday that we're going back to Nevada, and we're going to go there for Thanksgiving weekend. So super excited about that. This time I'm bringing my whole family, and my sister's coming with her whole family. We're not going to camp. We're going to stay in the motel in Denio Junction, which is like population 8 or something like that. So they could fit the whole town in this 6-room motel, I'm sure. So going to have a good time. Going to do a bunch of hot springs soaking, and then go look at some old farmsteads and do some hiking out there. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be cold.
Sounds like it'll be fun.
Yeah.
You expecting snow?
I don't know. I really don't know about snow down there because it's all high desert. It's so dry year round. If there is any precipitation, it will snow. The highs are going to be in the 40s during the day and the lows in the 20s at night. So if it does precipitate, it'll be snow, but I can't imagine there'll be much of it. And then had a weird headlight issue with my pickup truck. I was on my way home from work, and my wife sent me a text that said the headlights were on my truck, and there was no reason for them to be on. My truck has been parked for a week, and so she went out and tried to turn them off, but they were already off. So I don't know what's going on. I fired my truck up, drove it around, turned the headlights off and on a bunch of times, but they just never went off. So I had to unplug the bulb from the wire harness. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe they got a whole bunch of rainwater because it was pouring rain this past week. Got to look into that. So
seems weird that it would turn on at the light bulb.
I did a little bit of research. Some people were saying maybe the daytime running light module's gone out, but my truck doesn't have daytime running lights, so maybe the module's still in there.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, let's start with Andrew. What have you been up to recently?
We just got back. We made a trip down to San Felipe, Mexico, called the Milestar Tires Camp 4 Low. It's
okay.
kind of
Fiesta.
a Forlo Fiesta, excuse me. And it was like a 3-day route. First night we spent in Ocotillo Wells, and then crossed the Mexican border Friday morning, and spent Friday night and Saturday night camping in Kike's RV park, and it's Palapas on the beach in San Felipe, which it was amazing. This was my first time ever driving to Baja and driving across the border. It was a good time, lots of fun, good group of people, good group of sponsors. We and I actually just finished unloading this past weekend as well. So that was Halloween. No, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we did that trip, but it was a good time.
Sounds like
I'm trying to remember. I stayed in San Felipe overnight. I think I flew down to almost the southern tip of Baja and drove back with my mom's husband, hauling his boat and some belongings back because he vacationed down there. But we went to some petroglyphs out there somewhere, and I can't remember if they were outside of San Felipe or not. Was that in your route at all? See any petroglyphs?
It initially was, actually, yeah. So, but the conditions, because of the storms, Matt Frick, the guy who owns Camp Forlo and is doing all the pre-running, and he had another guy doing the pre-running, they decided, because Camp Forlo or the Fiesta is not necessarily hardcore vehicles, you just have to have 4x4.
Yeah.
The Matomi Wash and some of the surrounding areas were not. Some vehicles would be stuck, and they felt like, listen, we just want people to have a great time and keep it easy and just keep it moving and keep everybody together. And again, it was a focus on a good time. So it was originally there, but after they ran it and then ran it again a week or two later, they're like, it was too much of a risk, they felt.
Yeah, it's pretty low key off road event.
Yeah. I follow Camp Forlo on Facebook, and they look like they put on some really good events. I'd love to hook up with them sometime.
It's good. I mean, a lot of people would be like, well, I can go down to San Felipe and I can pay, whatever it is, $20. But it's the other side of it is, some people don't feel comfortable, and some people don't want to go alone, right? They want other people, or they want the experience. We went down with 8 other vehicles, right? So it was, I think that was the community and the sharing was the big part.
Absolutely.
It definitely is. It's a lot more fun going with a group of folks than it is going lone wolf.
Yeah. We all got separated at the border crossing in because they held up a couple of us. I was in an F-150 that's got a camper shell on the back of it, and a rooftop tent. So they all want to see in. What have you got? What are you carrying in? And then we took Marco, who's Overland X. I don't know if you know the guy that does a lot of cooking, but he has a tow behind trailer behind his Jeep, and they wanted to see inside the trailer. So he and I got pulled off. Martin got stuck, but we all got separated. And then for those of us that were new, our first time driving into Baja, trying to reconnect was interesting, but it all worked out, and it was a great adventure.
How long did it take everybody to get through?
Not long.
Half
I mean,
an
they
hour.
stopped us. Yeah, half an hour tops. They stopped us and looked around, and just answered a couple questions. Luckily, my fiance speaks Spanish, so she was my translator.
That's easier, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Martin, do you have anything to add for what you've been doing?
Man, so because of San Felipe, one of the guys that we went with, a group of us broke off because we wanted a dedicated day of photo shoots, because we wanted the content, we wanted the photography, and we had some really good vehicles down there and good personalities. So we went into Matomi because we got a couple people who are former Baja racers, Baja champions, and we were just going, and then we camped in one of these offshoots, and Marco set up his entire, his rig with one screen, one tent, and then the trailer, which was like the supply trailer with another tent and another screen. So like we had this huge little canyon just covered, and then we just stuck out. And so what two of us, like I've got a pretty capable Jeep, and then one of the other guys, Joe Hernandez, Jeep and Joe on Instagram, he has a 4-cylinder that has like, it's caged and all that stuff. So I was like, hey man, let's go check out those rocks over there. So like I go and I'm just doing my thing and I'm having fun. And then he decides to finally get out. And then he like comes up, and me and this other guy, Rob, were like, he knows he's about to like flip, right? And then he just goes and takes a nice dirt nap. And so like I got to reposition my Jeep, and then we snatch block him over, and it was nothing. I mean, it was super soft, but we get him out. And then when I get back down, I've got a leak on my power steering pump, and the seal went because I overpressurized the box somehow. I think I held it a little too far on one side, and it destroyed the underside of my Jeep, which I had just cleaned, and I had just like detailed and done all this other stuff for this whole trip. So I did that this weekend. I literally took the underside of my Jeep apart again and simple greened the whole thing.
So what I'm hearing is you should never clean or paint your vehicle.
Oh,
We'll hear.
That's a
don't tell nobody, man.
Yeah. I'm spilling a little bit of the pre-show talk, but
Hey, she drives out though. She drove the whole way back. Let me tell you, when I got back to about Temecula, Warner Springs area in Southern California, there was 65-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. It was so windy, and then it started raining. And like without
crazy.
power steering, I was going into some of these turns and like trail braking, and it was just to get the Jeep to move. I was like, oh, but it's all good.
so Rick on YouTube is asking what comms you guys were running while you're out there.
We were just using rugged radios, race radios. Most of us were on Weatherman.
Oh yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
Cell phone
it's
coverage.
easy. It's got great range.
Cell phone coverage is really good down there too. Like if you tell your carrier a week beforehand, hey, I'm going to go down there, you can purchase like a 7 to 10 day stint of service, and then all you have to do is once you cross the border, it switches towers, and then it'll send you a notification. You accept the notification, and then it's no thing. It's pretty crazy. It was really easy.
Nice to know.
Yeah.
Well, I had my dad come into town, so he just flew back from Japan because he's in the process of moving from Japan to Virginia. And so he picked up his Jeep because it was stored out here in my neck of the woods. And he got to my house, and we were actually putting on a roof rack for him so he could carry a little bit more gear while they were going across country. And I noticed some oil, it ended up being coolant that had spit out of his radiator and was all over his hood and all over the inside of the engine compartment and everything. So we ended up, because his radiator cap was just completely loose. So I don't know if it was the storage facility if they topped off the radiator and just screwed it up or what. But we swung by Northridge and grabbed some more fluid, and we ended up changing his oil before he went out to Virginia, because he was already like 2,000 miles over from his trip from Connecticut to here to drop the Jeep off before moving to Japan. So it was working on somebody's Jeep who isn't my own this time.
It sounds
That's
like
always a
Jeep thing that I
better
wouldn't
feeling.
I feel like it is kind of a Jeep thing, isn't it?
Yeah. A little bit.
Eric is jumping ahead of us here.
Yeah, Eric in the Facebook live comments the YouTube live comments wants to know what your axle percentages are.
Yeah. So
Like axle ratio?
No. So I have a smiley face Dana 44 currently, and so I am saving up for some Dynatrack 60s, and so I'm getting there. I'm almost there. And so every week I have Aaron guess what my saving percentage is. All right, Aaron, what's your guess for this week?
So 2 weeks ago you were at 84, and then you jumped to 87. So logic would tell me 90%.
90 even or 90? What's your? You
I'm gonna-
always
I'm
make
gonna
me go
say-
out.
I'm going to say
you got-
91.2.
Who, you're a lot closer this time than last time. So I am currently at 90.95.
Wow.
And thanks to some of my really good friends, I got this nice card in the mail from
Look at
from
that.
3 people, from Aaron and Ben and Rick, and you guys donated a little bit to the fund.
What does it say in the upper right corner?
Hope your Jeep gets well soon. That one or the other
Nope.
one? This one. We're now part
Yeah.
owner.
Yeah, we're now part owners.
Yeah, I think by the time I'm done with the Jeep, you'll probably be part owners of maybe one lug nut each.
Yeah, for what we donated. Yeah, exactly. I think we may, or maybe an axle seal, just the seal.
I just wanted to say thank you guys. I really do appreciate you guys as friends, and that definitely made my day. Especially that 3D pop out Jeep. I mean, that is just the coolest thing.
Yeah,
that is pretty
cute.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely keeping this card. I did not. My son is very into birthday cards right now, especially if they have something pop out or they play music, and he loves Jeeps.
Yeah.
So I did not show him this one because otherwise he would have claimed it. And I definitely want to keep that one.
Now, when it folds in and out, does it bend the axle, or is there not even an axle? In there?
There's no axle.
True to life.
Or it has portals. I can't tell.
Independent all the way around.
Oh, so it's not a Jeep.
Yeah. Well, when and if Ben gets on, we can ask him what he's been up to. Hopefully he'll make it.
We'll see. Did you already say that he was having some emergency dental stuff?
Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe that was pre-show. Yeah. So Ben isn't on here because he had a late dentist appointment today.
That's why he's getting work on his mouth.
Mouth work.
Gonna come back slurring.
Listeners, we're going to start reading Apple iTunes reviews on air. If you hear yours, send us a message with your address, and we'll send you an Off-Road Podcast sticker. You can find all of our social media by just searching our name. Now, go hit that subscribe button.
Andrew said something that I really want to make sure gets in there, and I hope he's slurring his words when he comes back too.
Yeah, he's gonna be all numb on one side.
Yeah.
Or something.
I hope he comes on just so we can hear how he is talking right now.
Yeah. So also we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. They make some awesome high quality stuff. Just today I got my stuff in the mail. We've got November is always a twofer. You get 2 patches. So this is the sticker for the matching patch for the patch of the month. This is Tactical Tom. And also got this one. And we were talking about this one last week, and I didn't realize it, but it's Doorbuster. Get it for Black Friday shopping. It's a Doorbuster. So 2 great patches. They're sitting over on my key table ready to go into my truck when I head outside tomorrow. So those will be going up in there. So yeah, don't forget to check them out. $15 a month gets you patch, matching sticker, and artist proof card, and some gloating rights, because they only make these patches one time and never make them again.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
The news is brought to you by PowerTank, the ultimate mobile onboard air system for performance, versatility, and reliability. They are your source for all air-related accessories. Check them out at powertank.com.
So this first article we have here, there seems to be a lot of Bronco news going on, but I guess that's how it is when they're just pushing to release date. So they now have a production date has been leaked. So this leaked document showed up on the Bronco 6G forum, and it pins it at probably starting on March 22nd, which does make sense for their timeline that they talked about before, which was getting them out in late spring of 2021.
I'm starting to wonder if this Bronco 6G forum is owned by Ford, if they're the ones who secretly created this, because it seems like all the leaks for the new Bronco come out on this forum.
It does seem like that, doesn't it? Now that
Yeah.
you say it.
Or it's
Yeah.
probably, I mean, back in, what was it, the 60s and the 50s, they used to pay some of the reviewers for like Car and Driver and Road and Track, right? Just to review the cars and get them out there. And, at that time, there was people didn't want any disclaimers. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd told some guy, hey, you've got the name that we want. We're going to give you this amount of money. You need to post what we tell you to post.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Or somebody has a buddy.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Because they always seem to be like in the top news when it comes to Bronco news.
Yeah, or they have the watermarks. Cherry
Yeah.
Chiefs gone public.
Yeah.
Released the first IPO.
Yep. That was from Eric on YouTube.
Who's a banker Eric.
Yeah, that makes sense. Finance guy.
Yeah. Well, our second news story here is the Toyota Sport Trailer. Did you get a chance to pop open one of these links yet, Jeremy?
I did not.
Click
Well,
on
now
it
I
and tell me
did.
what you think. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So it's kind of like you can get a matching truck bed as your trailer.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah, and it's super cool that like an OEM is doing that. Wow.
I don't know if I've ever seen an OEM build their own trailer like this. It is pretty neat. I know that people have been building them like this for a long time. People get a wrecked truck frame that's got a good pickup body on it, or they'll just get a pickup bed and build their own frame underneath it. The difficulty with using like a stock axle underneath it is that you have to figure out a way to rig up the brakes, because they're hydraulic brakes on a pickup truck. So you got to figure out a different way to do the brakes. I can't see a pumpkin underneath this trailer, so I'm guessing it's probably a trailer axle, leaf sprung trailer axle or something like that. They supposedly released information at the SEMA 360 event. I can't find much on this trailer though, but they talk about having a gray water tank, which means that there must be a freshwater tank, a Yamaha generator, fridge. Talk about having trailer brakes because it's got a 7-pin plug that plugs in. It's off the current gen bed, which makes sense. I don't know why they would use any other bed.
Plus, they had a bunch of them
rack
floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bed rack is available for it, and in the pictures it shows a trailer hitch, and I think trailer hitches are cool on trailers because you can put some bicycles on the back of it, or a small motorcycle or mini bike, that kind of stuff. So
That
a lot of
is
stuff in a trailer hitch.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that bombing around out there off road.
Now I want
I'm sure.
I want a trailer with a gladiator bed.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised because I wouldn't be surprised if Mopar came out with something like that, because all the OEMs, they just get, when they catch word that so and so is doing something, like Ford's doing this to the Bronco. Well, why don't we have that? How come we don't have a 7-speed manual transmission? Why do they have one more speed than us? And then Toyota comes out with this. That's a pretty novel concept.
Well, these trailers are bringing big money too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the
it's
ones
cheap,
like
yeah.
Marco's trailer is not cheap.
It's nice, dude. Marco was chasing us, and in San Felipe, there's whoops anywhere you want to go. There's big whoops, small ones, but he was keeping up, and he's got a manual, and he was doing 40, and that trailer has trailing arms, so it's moving, but it's like there was points where it would hit some big G outs, and it would dance like this, and you'd look back and like, oh, this trailer's saying hi, and it'd do that, and then so he had to back off, but his his trailer might be spendy, but it's legit.
Yeah,
Yeah, you definitely get what you pay for in those trailer markets.
for sure.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, this week we have Andrew and Martin from Milestar Tires. Just real quickly, what do you guys do for Milestar?
So this is Andrew. I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing.
And I'm Martin, and I'm the Events and Activation Manager. It's kind of a catch-all phrase.
Why the
What is,
scarecrow?
what is activation?
So when you go to a sports event, right? Or let's say you go to a firearms show, right? Or a convention, SHOT Show, and you see a display by a manufacturer, and they have their booth, and then they have people who are there from the company. They might have contracted representatives there as well, and then they have like new releases. That's an activation, right? You go into the real world where consumers are, and you activate. You could do that at a baseball game. You could do it at an off-road event, but that's an activation. Oh,
Look who has arrived.
Yeah.
Chubby Cheeks is here.
Chubby Cheeks. There we go. Yeah. Life is fun when you have a broken bridge.
Ooh,
Do you have some? Are you numb at all?
Nope, no numbing. It was.
You gonna
just
like
a,
drooling out of the side of your mouth?
Yeah, that'd be one good reason to watch the YouTube stream.
Yeah.
No, I'm a terrible person and haven't gone to the dentist in forever. So this was only the initial one. I still have to wait 2 more weeks before I get to have fun. And then I get drugs.
So
that won't be a fun one.
do we want to cover what Ben's been up to?
Yeah, let's do that real quick, and then we'll jump into the main topic.
What have I been up to? Not much really. I'm getting ready to go camping. I'm gonna go test out the new rooftop tent with my middle son. I don't know where I'm gonna go, but I'm just gonna go.
So you got it all hooked up and everything's working good?
Yeah. So I mention on the last episode that I set it up on top of the Forerunner, and I've got a ladder that kind of isn't attached, but it's there.
That
So
sounds
you're gonna
like
fall.
that's for failure.
He's gonna fall
Yeah.
down in the middle of the night.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to like zip tie it or something. I don't know.
Oh, Louis is.
It's not attached. Yeah. That'll be the thing. Is it'll be Louis who falls. It'll be like Henry at the Overland Rally with his falling down. Was it the main marketing guys at Warren's rooftop tent when he's hanging out with his son?
Yep.
Oh no!
I'm like, no. It's Henry's fault. You're fine. He's just dumb.
Next week, Ben gets life flighted.
Oh.
Yeah.
So all I've done is I bought some new sleeping bags for the kids for Christmas, and they're getting them early. So that's about it.
You have to see if you can borrow someone's Garmin InReach just in case you need to be life flighted out.
No, the plan is I'm going. I think I'm going to go up above Wilkeson again. We'll see. I mean, it's close enough to home. If I break something, I can still drive out.
You want me to get you the GPS coordinates for Trash Camp?
Nah, I don't want to go to
went,
Greenwood.
where we went stargazing.
I've got that saved. I could always go there.
Do you?
Yeah.
That was a good place.
Yeah, I'm just I need to get out and go camping. I'm tired of all the crap going on around me, all the people.
Yeah, do it.
I want to go see less people, even though I like people most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. People who can go on trips, who have working vehicles.
Well, when
Yes.
you don't, it works out. You're welcome to, cruise over on your motorcycle and,
Nah,
join me.
I have to
Not
work
can't-
this weekend and every
Need that
weekend.
OT. Need that OT, right?
Gotta pay for
Right
those
now I do.
axles.
That's why I'm not complaining about all the extra work they piled on right now.
Yeah.
Well, back into the main topic. We'll start off with the Fast Five facts. So we'll start with Andrew, and then we'll move to Martin. So these are just supposed to be just off the top of your head, although it looks like Andrew cheated a little bit. Or maybe that was Martin. I don't know.
I think Martin typed. I erased my cheating.
So, Andrew, newer old vehicle.
You
That's
already
a live-
answered, bro. That's fine. I'll do it right now. It's all right. I'll have your piece.
So newer old vehicle, Andrew?
Well, for a daily, I prefer a new vehicle. For off-road, I prefer something a couple generations old at least, something that you don't see every day. Although there are benefits of both. I've had both, but I like wheeling something older and daily something newer.
Summer or winter camping?
Prefer summer, but we'll do either.
Rock, sand, snow, or mud?
Rocks.
Favorite vehicle brand?
Jeep.
And favorite tire?
That's a no-brainer. Milestar.
Well, we will jump right into Martin's answers. And Martin, new or old vehicle?
Old.
Summer or winter?
Yes.
Rock, sand, snow, or mud?
Anything but mud.
Favorite vehicle brand?
It's a toss-up because, like, for a long time, like, I didn't grow up in, like, the off-road Jeep world. Like, I wasn't always, like, a Jeeper. But I grew up with Fords, a lot of Fords, pickups and Mustangs. And so, like, a lot of my just random knowledge comes from there. But I own a Jeep, and I love that POS. So, it's sometimes you hate it, but you know,
Absolutely.
it's a split between the two for me.
And favorite tire?
I like our Patagonia. I really do, because one way or another, someone's going to talk about it. Someone's going to talk smack on it. And they got 40-inch whatevers, and I'm on 35s, and I'm right behind them. So
That's
I
not
ain't
what,
scared.
That's not what you typed in here. You didn't type in Patagonia.
What did I type? Oh, yeah. Well,
Patagucci's.
the Patagucci's. So, like, it's like a term, because we were talking about it, and everyone's like, oh, well, you got that fancy tire name. I was like, yeah, bro, I got the Patagucci's. And it's just, chopping it up with your buddies.
I like it. I'm going to start using that now.
Well, I guess we'll do this again. Maybe we'll just go back and forth instead of going through all the questions. We'll just go back and forth. So I'll start with Andrew, and why don't you tell us how you first started off-roading, and then we'll flip the question to Martin.
So I was telling Jeremy pre-show that I've been in the tire industry now for over 25 years, and I started in Atlanta at the retail sales counter selling tires back in the early 90s, and I did that because it was decent money. You could make 35 grand. I did that a year, and I could do that until I found a real job, and here I am 26 years later still selling tires. But I was, at the time, I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, running a tire store, and these guys used to bring in these cool modified Jeeps, and there was a full-size Jeep Cherokee that came in, and they'd come in a lot for whether it was a tire repair or a tire swap, and I started chatting with them. And I had always been a fan of Jeeps, but more of in the poser fashion, the mall crawler that, you just drive it around, take the top off and drive around town. And after that, I picked up another CJ7, and I started going to some of these an off-road club there in Chattanooga and off-roading with these guys, and built that CJ7 like 4 or 5 or 6 times instead of just building it once right. But I was young. I was in my early 30s, and I was on a tight budget, and I wasn't like Jeremy. I didn't have people that would donate money so I could buy new axles. I had an AMC 20 rear axle that I had to pony up and put the one-piece shafts in, and the Dana 30 front, and all that good stuff. But I had a lot of fun with that CJ, and really that's where I cut my teeth off-roading in the Tennessee area, which was a ton of fun. Different kind of wheeling out there, probably closer to what you guys have up in the Northwest. Wet, everything's wet and slick, and you can't just crawl anything. Everything's about momentum, and that's how you got to do it in the East.
All right, Martin, how did you get started in off-roading?
It was a job. Like, as I know it today, like, it was a job, 100%. So we used to work at another tire manufacturer years ago, and I wasn't even in they had different departments for marketing and motorsports marketing, and I was just a motorsports specialist, and they needed somebody to do whatever, and I was always down to work. I was like, I didn't care, So the first time was out at King of the Hammers back in 2012. It was before 2012. It was like 2011 actually. Started pre-running and doing all this stuff, and that guy was there, and it was quite a long history with it, but just kind of fell in love from there. It was just intense. It was extreme. That's probably like that experience has just a lot of different memories and different emotions, but yeah, man, it's from there. Like, I literally, when I left that company, I went to a Jeep parts manufacturer and we made high-end aluminum parts for Jeeps. And I did that for almost 4 years. And then he called me and he said, I need you. And then by that time I'd had a Jeep, but I hadn't started building it yet. And I finally started having a little time. So it's not something that like I grew up in. It just was a good experience.
Well, Andrew, I get to ask a question finally. And what's the first vehicle you took off road?
So it would have been my 85 CJ7 was the first vehicle I took off road. Actually, I take that back. It was my 1972 Volkswagen Super Beetle that I had when I was 16 years old. And I remember taking it through this mud hole, and I hit a rock, and it bent my little it's not really an oil pan on the bottom of a Volkswagen, but it bent whatever on the bottom of that Volkswagen engine. And from then on out, every time I put gas in the Volkswagen, I had to also put oil in the Volkswagen just to keep it with oil in it. And I never fixed it. So yes, the Volkswagen was the first.
So switching to a Jeep wasn't anything different.
No,
leaking oil.
Exactly. Especially a 258 inline 6. Those things rear main seal all day, every day.
Yep. Well, Martin, what about you? What was your first off-road vehicle?
I mean, mine had fuel injection, so I got that on him. But it was not a 4x4, bro. It was a front wheel drive. It was a 94 Lincoln Continental. we used to me and my buddy, we used to find the back roads because I live in wine country down here in Southern California. So there's a lot of back roads, a lot of stuff that's kind of underdeveloped, but there's just, you can just find them and see where they go. And we used to just horse around at this one lot where someone bought it, and then it sold, and then something happened with the bank. So it just sat dormant for probably about a year. And so they had the construction. So they had built the pad, and they'd built some other stuff. So he had like a 99 Toyota Echo, and I had the Continental, bro. And let me tell you, we used to, rainy days, bro, you go out there and you just let it eat.
Yeah. That's what teenagers do. I did the same thing in my Geo Metro and then my Pontiac Sunbird. Just
Buick
rip it up the
Nice.
roads.
So we'll start off with Martin on this one. What do you drive now?
I got 2 cars. I have the daily. I have a 99 Toyota Corolla, 5-speed manual. It's got a man pedal, so that's what I daily. And then
Is it an
I have my
Corolla
Jeep.
S?
No, it's an LE luxury edition. See, we got the little gold emblems and everything, bro.
Oh no, not the gold emblems.
Bro, it's got AC, power windows, and power locks, power steering, power brakes. Whew. Fully loaded.
Living the life.
Yeah, and then I got my 2005 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. So that's my baby. I do like that thing, even though I hate it.
What do you hate about it?
I kind of hate the fact that, like, I guess it's like I hate it. It's, I don't know. It's stupid and complex. Doesn't make any sense. Cognitive dissonance. This is what this is. I love the fact that I built something and then I go take it and I use it for what it's meant for in my mind. And then when you keep doing that, you have to maintain it. And I'm always maintaining it, whether it's just cleaning it, making sure, oh man, now I got to, what's that little tick? And you got to go find it and you go shaking tires and are my ball joints tight?
Yeah, but some of that's self-inflicted. If you haven't picked up on it yet, Martin's a little bit of a showman. He likes the attention, which will lead us into this next point here. It's a great story. He likes to, when he gets around his buddies off road, particularly, he likes to show how big his guts are. Yes.
Hey man, I get excited, bro. Whew.
Well, Andrew, what are you rocking now?
2019 F-150, 4-door, 4-wheel drive.
Olaf edition.
Olaf edition. It is Olaf for sure.
Yeah.
It is. I've got the. No, I was the 5.0 guy. I am not an EcoBoost fan. So I got the 8-cylinder, and man, that 10-speed transmission, it's an amazing truck. I came out of a Ram 2500 Cummins to go into this, and I love it. It's the room, the ride. It's a nice truck. They did a good job on it. And then my off-road rig is, or my rock crawler, I've got an 04 Wrangler Unlimited as well.
You guys really like your TJs, huh?
LJs, bro.
LJs,
Come on.
yeah.
Unicorns.
Okay, TJ, same difference. Yeah, like
You're
12
slipping,
extra,
Ben.
right?
And you used to own a Jeep.
He was the first one. He was the first one to own a Jeep on the show.
That's true.
So, Andrew, I'm going to ask you first about your most embarrassing moment on the trail.
It probably the very first off-road event I ever went to was in 1998. It was called the Dixie Run in Tellico, OHV area, which sits right on the Tennessee-North Carolina state line. And, I'm a noob. I'm totally this noob that just doesn't know anything. I was all excited and giddy about it. And day one was great. And I was with my ex at the time, and I remember telling her, man, doesn't get any better than this. Day one. And day two, climbing an obstacle, and my front tie rod just, and now it's pouring down rain, which it does every day in Tennessee. And I'm sitting in the mud, changing this tie rod, or pulling the tie rod off so we can put the high lift jack sleeve on it so we can drive it off of the trail. And my ex looks out at me and she goes, man, it doesn't get any better than this, does it?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a reason she's my ex. But and of course I'm surrounded by buddies and stuff. But so that was not my best moment. But that's first that comes to mind. First of a few, I'm sure. But my story pales in comparison to Mr. Castro's story. So please ask him the same question.
Hey, hang on. Before we leave this, I just want you guys to know how like serious Jeeping is to boys in the South. He kept every shirt that he had from all those events down there. So he's got OG Teleco. You can't wheel in Teleco anymore. Like it's closed off, right? And it's legendary, all the shirts that they made. He had the shirts, he kept them, and then his mom this year made him a quilt out of every one of the shirts. And I gotta say, it's a badass quilt. I was like, dang, man, that's a piece of history. But it's like, it's got a CJ on the front with like Swamper, or it says TSL on the side. And you're just like, yeah,
I was a Swamper guy in the South. That used to be the tire to run.
We'll have to see if you can get us a picture of that. We can have that in our show notes for our listeners to check out.
Yeah, piece of history.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Martin, you're up.
So
We're ready to hear this story.
Should we show the video and then have you talk about it, or should we show
it's your show, bro. You show. You tell me.
Lead with the video. Lead with the video.
So you can check this video out on YouTube, and then Martin's going to describe it for everybody. So here we go. We're just going to watch it. This is the first time Ben and Aaron are seeing it. I've already seen it. So let's go.
Man. Yard sale.
Hey, bro, you gotta send it. I can send you. I can 100%. That's how I built that Jeep, and that's not always how I wheel it, but there's times, and that was one of them. That was, just too excited. But
fresh build, first trip ever with that Jeep.
First trip to Moab.
First day in Moab. First day in Moab.
Had just painted it. So I had built it in October, and it was driving in October of the year prior. This is 18, and in 17 I got it driving, right? And I bought this Jeep wrecked. This Jeep was a $3,200 Jeep I bought from Davies Jeeps. The front end was wrecked out of it, and I replaced nearly everything on that thing except for the tub and the grill. There's literally nothing else that's from that factory Jeep. And it's just one of those things. Like, I built it, like I brought it back to life. I mean, if anyone's going to take it down, it'd be me. So,
yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask you to describe what happened in the video for those who aren't watching but are listening on the.
All right. Yeah. So this is, So we're in Moab, and you have to understand this is one of the hot tubs, but this is the big one. This is Devil's hot tub, and that's about a foot. That's 16 inches of just nasty, slick, oily water. It's not just regular rainwater. It just collects and it just sits there. And so there's sediment. So you got to clean your tires off. And I had been doing burnouts on the middle of that incline for like 5 minutes prior to this, and I got video of that, where the tires are just roasting. I got them hot, and I got all my friends there. And I mean, I got my boy Johnny, I got Gerald Lee from Savvy, I got Mike Kim, Dan Fresh from Fox, I got the BDS guys, I got Jesse Combs was there, all my friends, right? And they're like, no, you got this. I was like, yo, you got a race car and you're not even going. They're like, no, you'll be fine. And I was like, me, all right, yeah, I'll give it a shot, No, man, it was just, I didn't, so go up midpoint. Yeah, stop right there. So you see my passenger tire. At that point, about a foot earlier, if I'd have turned left and kept on it, I'd have driven out. But if you move it forward 2 seconds, you see how that cleft pops you up? If you look at this, Like that's the point at which Lauren Healy went over a couple years back in that JK in the same obstacle. As another buddy of mine, Eric Villar, took the Northridge 4x4 JK and did the same thing, trying to get up it. And you know, part of it's wheel speed. So you got to be committed, but you know, the other part of it is line choice. Absolutely, 100% line choice. The hard part is it's such a sheer obstacle. You look at it and all you see is red, and then you come up and all you see is sky. And like, I mean, you know, like what the hell do I know? I'm just all giddy and excited, and I'm like, I mean, I was looking up and I remember I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. And then I'm coming down and I'm like, I see more red and it's coming the other way. And I was like, oh man. and the crazy part about it, it looks like I destroyed the Jeep. I actually drove it out, pulled the plugs. We got it over. We didn't scratch it. We didn't tear it up. And this still got full doors on it, right? So like I was extremely fortunate, super lucky, very thankful. But when it came down, it landed on the bumper and then it landed on the corner and then it landed on the winch guard. And all the armor that I used to sell is the armor that protected the Jeep. And I got like a dent on my windscreen on the driver's side that long. And that's the only mark. The hood was fiberglass, wasn't damaged, wasn't even scratched. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd your hood get damaged now? Twice.
What? Are you a bus driver too? VP of sales and marketing, you're a bus driver. All right, so if you you'll notice I got CJ hood latches, but they're underneath on that Chris Durham Motorsports hood, right? So Chris Durham makes a fantastic hood. Well, when you wash it, if you don't check it and you leave it unhooked at 20 miles an hour, it just yard sales itself on the windshield.
Yeah.
So I've done that twice, and let me tell you, it sucks paying for that repair bill.
Martin, I am seeing a theme. Stop washing your Jeep.
I mean, you're right. You're right. Actually, I just keep that thing dirty, right?
Just Raptor lining. You never have to wash it. I've washed my rig once since I Raptor lined it, and it looks the same as the day before.
See, I don't like it because it holds like mud and water. Throw them a life jacket. Yeah.
No, my Raptor liner, it rains and it cleans it. I mean, you can just
really?
They'll wash it off. Yeah.
How long have you had your Toyota like that?
What, are we on year 2 now? I think.
Probably.
At least 2 years. Yeah, 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I watched 2 years. Yeah. And when I washed it, I found scratches that I didn't have before. That's about it. Well,
So
with every fail,
well, hang on. One of our YouTube comments here wants to know what kind of tires you're running when you were doing that.
Oh, hey, Patagonia's, man. Listen,
Okay.
every popular YouTube video you see, the guy's got horsepower, or he's got some sticky tire, or it's somebody who's driven it before, 100%. And I'd never driven the obstacle before, ever in any vehicle. I'd never seen it. And I mean, to this point, driving that Jeep, I've done a couple of times Big Bear. I've done a couple of days in JV, with my buddies doing sledge, resolution. I mean, like for sure having a good time, but like in terms of experience, nah. Like that's what I mean. Line choice. Like you have to look at it and you got to see it and you got to know what your Jeep can do. You got to know what you can do it as a driver, and like story of my life, I tend to learn the hard way, but I do learn at some point. I like to think so.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, I'll start you off here, Martin. With every fail, there's always the biggest win on the trail. What's your biggest win? You know what? I now that you asked that, I could go two ways. The first way, which is a personal win of mine, was I got invited out with a bunch of people, Trail Reaper, and a couple other people to do Garden of Eden. And Garden of Eden is this hidden trail in Southern California, right? And I heard about it for 2 years, looked for it in the desert for 2 years, couldn't find it.
and it's got this sheer wall, and it cuts up at a 45, and it declines at a 45 into another sheer wall. It's a gnarly obstacle. It's like 10, 12 feet up, and then it's another 20 feet on that decline, but you got to go up and through. And there's water. You're in the middle of the desert, in Landers, California, or Yucca Valley. And it's just vibrant. It's crazy. There's a spring right there. So the rock tends to be a little slick. The base is slick, and everybody's got 43s, 42s, or 40s, right? Like purpose-built rigs. And it's my rig, that same rig on 35s, same tires, and I one-shotted it. And I was so happy because it's like, you know, people think that you need big tires to make it work or to do whatever. And small tires are cool because it's all about line choice again. And you got to
small tires, 35s, small tires.
And that's the world we live in, though, dude. They're putting 42s on Gladiators.
It totally is. No, I know. It's just crazy to think that 35s are small tires, but yep.
Man, I'm driving on.
Back in the 90s, they were big tires.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah, we're on donut tires
90s,
over here.
like 2007, I want to say up till about 2000, 10. 35s were a big tire. 40-inch tires were a massive tire, and now it's 40s are standard.
Yeah.
35s are okay. Yeah, there you go. You're ready to go off roading with your 35s, and I'm like, I've got 33s. I'm good. Not now.
Yeah.
Not 35s.
Yeah. And I'd say the other win is an actual win, and it meant a lot to me because I'm not somebody that was like full and what do they call it? We're just being completely honest here. Like, I was president of the astronomy club in high school, so I also took auto shop. So like I was kind of all over the place, but I wasn't somebody who was active in sports. So like trophies and winning and that type of thing was not anything that I really did. And I've competed in King of the Hammers, and I won the EMC. And I say, like, that's a trophy, and that's a thing that means a lot to me, because it took a lot of time, and it's just cool. But it was like, like I said, that's what got me into it, was King of the Hammers.
That's awesome.
So,
what did you run for that one?
It was for what? The vehicle?
What vehicle were you running?
So it was the Savvy Off-Road 88 car. So it was like custom built. John Curry, designed. Gerald Lee designed. John Rocha, master fabricator. So they built a great car. And it was actually a wager between a couple of people. I won't say their names because somebody might get mad. But there was a lot of doubt that we would do anything. And I co-drove. I wasn't driving. But navigator, you got to get out and you got to fix the car. Car caught on fire, right? And we were leading. Car caught on fire, and we're dead. And it's just, you got to fill the power steering and do all the stuff, right? And then you get it flat. You got to change it, and things like that. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a team. GPS goes out. Then you got to navigate blind. Keeping the car on course. Like stuff like that is real. And then to be able to do that, and then get a first place, it's just like, is wild. That's wild. So
did
and
all
it's also worth. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
Did all those things happen?
Yeah, all in the same race.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting who his driver was.
A very good friend of mine.
The late great Jesse Combs.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's a little hard for me to say. I texted this dude a couple weeks after our Baja trip. I blew that seal on my LJ at the Forlo Fiesta. So I went into the auto zone in San Felipe, and I got the power steering fluid. And the last time I was there was pre-running in the 50th anniversary of the Baja 1000 with Jesse and our other friend Teresa and Erica. And that was the last time I was there. We had to get some stuff for her pre-runner Tundra. And so it gets emotional. Like I tell it in confidence, like I know this is like being broadcast, but like you guys get it. You're enthusiasts. It's like one of those things. You get to meet your heroes, and you're like, wow, So, but yeah, it's I felt like it was a big deal. It's cool stuff.
Absolutely. What a good life experience to have.
100%. Very thankful for that.
Well, Andrew, with every fail, there's a win. What's yours?
Yeah, mine pales in comparison again to Mr. Castro here. I would probably say, my biggest win was the first time that I drove an obstacle called guardrail. This was also at Teleco. So it was a steep off camber climb. And the reason they called it guardrail was because there was a highway guardrail on the side of it that would, if you rolled or flopped, it would keep you from falling off of a ledge. So it was an obstacle that was very much in your head just from looking at it before you even got to it. But the first time I conquered that was probably my biggest, at least emotional win for me on the trail.
As a note, because as former Jeep owners here, how many Jeeps have you owned, Andrew?
It's in the 20s.
Wow.
Too many.
Wasn't it 27?
Something like that.
The high 20s. The high 20s. Wow.
Yeah, but I'm old too, dude. Then I started a long time ago.
Man, I wonder if you put no, you don't put John Matthews to shame. That guy's had more than that.
I mean, dude, but John's a he's a repairman, dude. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
That guy he sells and trades that stuff like his candy.
Every day. I
Yep.
see him buy one like once a week, and I'm just like, and there it goes, off to scrap.
So, Andrew, what's your favorite place to wheel?
Well, of all time, it probably would have been Teleco Plains in that Tennessee, North Carolina. But that you can wheel today, I would probably say Montrose, Colorado. And there's a trail there called Die Tryon that is probably my favorite rock trail of all time. It's incredible. It's a lot of fun.
That trail is definitely on my bucket list.
Nowadays it's tough to get into because I guess you've got to be with a club member to get to it. But we've got some friends there in Montrose that we've worked with for a long time. Corey over there at Metal Cloak was the last guy I ran it with. And that trail is just amazing. If you ever get the chance, do it.
Same question to you, Martin. Where's your favorite place to wheel?
In my Jeep.
Kind of like your camping question.
I mean, like, it's like life's about experiences, right? And I made a promise to myself a long time ago that I would try not to have any regrets, right? And hence you're gonna send your just newly built Jeep and you flip it. Yeah, it's a bonehead moment. It's totally stupid. But it's worth it to me to put that effort in time. So if I'm in my Jeep, it's great. Even if I'm sitting in traffic, like no lie, like it took me an hour and a half to get home today sitting in traffic. And I was like, and I was in my Jeep, right? And I was like, I was just happy because I just cleaned everything and I had adjusted my drag link. And it was just good. It was just, when you drive it and you steer and it feels good and everything, like the suspension, everything's good. You got your tunes on and everything's good. Like, it's as simple as that for me. But I love snow wheeling. Up there in Washington. I've had some great experiences there. Moon Rocks is crazy. It's gnarly stuff. JV is pretty great. It's hard. You can make it as hard as you want, especially on 35s. Sand Hollow. I mean, that's like Moab's greatest hits, right? In one area. That place still blows my mind. It's super fun. I don't know. Colorado, to his point, I've never done Die Trying. I love Carnage Canyon. I think that place is gnarly. The V-Notch is gnarly. I love Corey Osborne for giving it everything he had with he's got the yellow LJ Spike. I was with him at, what's that, All for Fun a couple years back, and he did the V-Notch. He almost drove it. I mean, we sat there for an hour trying to get him through, and then we had to winch him. But, I mean, yeah, there's great wheeling all over the U.S.
This is one of my favorite questions to ask. So I'll start with you, Martin. Is there a place on your bucket list that you want to go to but you haven't been to yet?
I honestly, I need to get out more. All those places I just listed are places I've done. Die Trying's a place I've never been. So I'll say that first, because Colorado's legit wheeling, and I love that. I'd love to go to Tellico, just because of how many times this guy has told me stories about what it was like. And I've been with this guy wheeling in the South, and let me tell you, like, he can cut a trail. He can handle some slop, bro. Like, he can wheel, and you're just like, he's pretty legit. You were one of what, 2 or 3 people who didn't need to be winched up that hill that one day on UA. Remember that hill where we broke the drive shaft, right? We broke the CV, so I got to change the CV in.
I remember the drive shaft popping. You
drove that hill, and everybody after us, they all had to winch. And that one guy had in the Suzuki, he had that header. Then you could see in the wheel well, and the header was glowing orange. He was giving it the beans, and he couldn't do it.
Tim Hardy.
Was it Tim? No, Tim
Yeah,
was in the
Samurai?
He was in the Samurai, but the sidekick, the 4-door.
Oh,
the white one.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Andrew? What's a place that you haven't been?
Alaska.
Oh, yes.
I would love to do Alaska. Even though I'm not a huge fan of mud, and I know you're going to get muddy in Alaska, but it would still be epic.
Yeah. So was Alaska Off-Road Warriors your jam?
What's that, Ben?
Was Alaska Off-Road Warriors your jam when it was on TV?
That's a show?
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. But you know, I watched the Ultimate Adventure trip up there, which looked incredible. But yeah, I think it would be amazing to get up there. And I've never been to the state at all, so I would just like to explore it. That's one of 2 that I haven't been to.
The Alaska Off-Road Warrior show is a little cringy. It's a reality TV show about rigs that are racing each day. Most of them are beaters, but it's still got some really good content in it. So
I'll have to check it out
once.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime right now.
So.
Okay.
Well, I think it's time we talk about Milestar. So, how about we start with how Milestar began?
So Milestar is a brand that is owned by a company called Tire Co., which is that's who both Martin and I work for. Tire Co. has been around since 1972. So we've been around 45 plus years. And the Milestar brand technically it started about 7 or 8 years ago, but at the time it was just a couple treads and something that wasn't really a full offering of products. Today it's something very, very different, but today it's as robust as any brand out there as far as our market coverage and the number of vehicles it fits. But Tireco is a company that does a lot of historically smaller, lesser known brands, but the quality's there. Whether it's Milestar or Nanking or Westlake, other brands that we sell and distribute exclusively. The one thing about Milestar is that Tireco owns it globally, so it's our brand that we own and control 100%. So that was a little bit more than just how it began, but a little bit of the background as well.
So
And it's just as
ahead.
an aside, like Tireco is privately owned, family owned, and American owned. And like, if anybody gets the chance to tour our corporate offices sometime in the future, there's a lot of history there, man. Like the family is all about integrity, and this year has been a trying year, and the one thing that nearly every meeting's been finished with is just do the right thing. So if you want to know why something's been around since '72, it's because of that.
So you
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I was adding again to Martin to his point about family. My first 22 years in the tire industry were on the corporate side. So now to join a family-owned company is definitely a different feeling. It gives you a sense of pride and ownership that you don't necessarily have in the corporate environment.
You had mentioned that Patagonia. Milestar is the brand that Tireco owns globally. Do the other ones, is it more of a regional North America ownership of that brand?
Yeah, for the other two brands, the Nanking and the Westlake that I referenced, Nanking we distribute exclusively for all of North America. So Canada, US, Mexico. Westlake brand and passenger and light truck, we distribute exclusively in the US only. I see a question from Rick there. Where's our corporate office? Our corporate offices are in Gardena, California, which is here just outside of LA, not far from LAX, probably a 20-minute drive from LAX.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rick tried to come down there and get a walkthrough. I think he's going to be down in Death Valley soon.
Oh,
You should give us a heads up if you're coming down, although we're still working remote. So we've been working remote. The corporate office employees, for the most part, have been working remote since March 17th, I believe. So it's been an interesting year. Obviously, all of our logistics and warehouses, our warehouse is in Fontana, California, and it's 1.1 million square feet. So it is a massive, massive warehouse. It's one of the top 5 largest tire warehouses in the nation. There are only a handful of folks who have warehouses in excess of 1 million square feet. That's where Martin is working out of every day now.
So what type of tires does Milestar make?
Yes. To the summer or winter camping question, yes is the answer there. But literally everything. So and again, we have more brands than just those 3 that I mentioned. We actually began in the early 70s as kind of a specialty tire company known for boat trailer tires, but we sell wheelbarrow tires, 4-wheeler tires, boat trailer tires, semi tires, flaps, tubes, obviously passenger and light truck tires. But if there's a tire, the only thing we don't do today is like the large ag tires. So the massive tractor tires, we don't do that. But that's about the only tire category we don't participate in today.
So I've heard some internet rumors that Milestar tires are retreads, or that maybe you guys started with retreads and things like that. Can you guys comment on that claim?
Sure.
I do want to ask, where'd you hear that?
I think it's just been like internet forums, and it's not something that I've heard recently, but it's something that has stuck with me from a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Back when forums were a thing.
Yeah, right. Well, positively not. That none of the tires that we sell today are retreads. Really today, primarily today, the only even category that has retreads for the most part is tractor trailer tires, semi tires that get retreads, and there are retread factories around the country. Although a lot of them have gone by the wayside because imported tires have become much more affordable than actually the retreading process itself. But there are no Milestar. All of our Milestar tires are built at quality DOT standards, just as good quality as anybody else's, honestly. And like we kind of alluded to earlier, both Martin and I in our lives before Milestar, we worked for a different tire manufacturer. I was there for 10 years and Martin for almost that long. So we come from a tire background, and they our lead operations engineering person spent 20 years at Cooper Tire and ran Cooper factories. He oversees all of our QC, all of our quality control at our factories today and sets our manufacturing standards and all of your run out limitations and things of that nature, and what construction, what's in the sidewall, what's in the carcass, what's in the tread, from compounding to you name it. So we control all of our production standards, particularly on the Milestar brand.
So you guys sell a lot of tires. Out of Milestar, what is the best-selling tire?
So, if you count it just by the sheer number
Volume.
of units, the number of tires we sell, our number one seller is an all-season passenger tire. It's called the MS 932 Sport. But it's your typical everyday. It's from your Corolla to it'll fit a Mustang, and it goes from 13 and 14 inch wheel diameter stuff up to 20 inch wheel diameter stuff.
Yeah.
So it's 70-ish sizes, and it covers everything, every passenger car imaginable, just about. That's our number one seller, and that's really where we got kicked off our brand recognition, just because of the amount of units we sell in that particular line. So it's not one that most have heard of. We actually, from a brand recognition, what we've done in the last 4 years in the off-road segment and the Milestar Patagonia line. So Patagonia is our light truck family of products, if you will. So it's everything from a HT to an AT. The MT is what everybody knows the most in the off-road segment, but we've also got a new XT that's kind of that tweener category. That's a super aggressive AT, not a traditional conservative AT, a super aggressive. It's got an aggressive sidewall, and our XT is built off the same green carcass that our MT is built off of. So 3-ply sidewall, cut and chip resistant compound. A lot of sizes in the off-road enthusiast segment as well in that Patagonia XT. Soon to be growing. The size list continues to grow.
So what's the most common off-road tire size that you guys sell?
35, 12, 50, 20.
That
right?
actually the number one selling aftermarket size in the United States is 35, 12, 50, 20. But that's like a brodozer size. So what we call the brodozer size. So every guy out there who's got a truck on 20-inch wheels, 35, 12, 50, 20 is the size. And that you go to Texas and they just grow on trees. So that's the number one selling aftermarket size. If you go to off-road, you're talking 35s, 37s, 38s, 40s in a 17-inch wheel. Actually the 35, 12, 50, 17 is
315, 70, 17 geometric conversion.
Yes.
Because we get that question a lot.
I bet.
A lot of questions. Well, how come you don't build a real 35? Well, I mean, how come other brands say 35 on the sidewall and they measure 33? I don't know, bro. It's magic. I don't,
Magic. We got a question on our Facebook page. And this one actually applies to me also because I'm totally interested in hearing the answer to this. But it says, Bradley says, maybe I'm just weird, but can we see a comeback in tall skinnies, 35 by 10s or 35 by 11s or something metric like that? Have skinny tires gone by the wayside?
No. And
no,
I'll
they
head this
haven't.
up.
Okay, go ahead.
So because some of our, some of our ambassadors are a thing, whether you hate them, love them, or whatever. Like, there's some people you partner with that are really, really knowledgeable. And some of our partners come from that background. And whether, like, there's our guy, Woody from I Hate Mud in Utah, or our guy, Chris Durham, down in South Kakalaki or South Carolina, depends on where you're raised for that pronunciation. But they both want a tall skinny 35, 16-inch rim, 17-inch rim. Why? Two different uses, two different reasons, same size. Durham says you can't fit a 35 today on the stock wheel on a dually because it puts the tire outside the wheel well. And he's like, everybody here would buy that tire if you made it. The same rationale, but for a different vehicle, is for Woody. Woody's Land Cruisers and Toyotas, a tall skinny, because scrub radius is a thing. The wheel wells are smaller on Toyotas. You got to do the body chop if you don't have the right offset on the wheel. Even if you do have the right offset on the wheel, it's still, the tires are 12.5-inch wide, and it tends to be too much for those vehicles. Tall skinny is actually a size. It's like when you make a DOT tire, you have to build it to standard, right? So there's the Tire and Rim Association, and it's this big book. It's put out annually, and you have to build it to this spec, right? And so it was like
really interesting to read.
Dude, it's like it's a 255, 85, 17. It's something stupid, but it sounds stupid, but it's a 34.8 by 10.9 on a 17-inch rim. Tall, skinny, DOT product, and it's important. If you want to build a product, it has to meet that specification. You can't just make you can make willy-nilly sizes, but it's really hard to get the DOT certification, and that's really important for anything on the road in America. So those are things that we focus on. It's scheduled. This is not a joke. That size is scheduled for the XT Phase 3. We have to get through Phase 2 first, but tall skinny is literally something that we took from our partners, people at large, and made it a priority.
And we're building it only for the enthusiast because it is largely a category of sizes that have gone by the wayside because, and part of it's because it doesn't sell as many units. And certainly, it still comes down to the bean counters. You have to buy a mold for each size, and a mold costs $50,000 at least. And you got to sell a lot of tires to pay for that investment of the mold. So the bean counters sometimes get in the way, but we're building that. We will be building it specifically for the enthusiasts who've been asking for it.
I know a lot in the Toyota world that would love that tire, and I'm sure Aaron there with the Nissan guys would be right there with them. I would be all I'm literally a body mount chop and a swing arm away from having 35s on my 4Runner right now. I've got the wheels sitting here in the garage. I'm like, okay, just need a body mount chop, which I could do in the driveway with the Sawzall.
Got to work up that motivation.
Yeah, I've been a tall, skinny guy ever since I got into off-roading. 33 by 10s is what I run on my Nissan, and I love them. I had to change from them when BFG came out with the KO2s. They didn't do a tall, skinny, and so I had to go to some other tire, and I just didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it at all, and then I switched back to the tall, skinny with a different version. So love the tall skinnies. I'd love to hear here when you guys come out with those. I'd be interested because my next step is 35s also, and I'm working towards that. So love to get some tall, skinny 35s.
Late 2021, most likely.
That I know that's a year away, but I've got a lot of I got to build my shop before I can do my engine transplant and complete suspension transplant from a Nissan Titan. So I got a lot of work to do before we get there. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about what goes into tread design on off-road tires?
So a lot, actually, more than you would probably think. I mean, you do, and it usually takes a considerable amount of time and a lot of renditions and modifications. You know, when you obviously want it to perform first. That's first and foremost, and you can come up with any crazy idea or a drawing, but then you've got to do testing. You do contact patch. A lot of the testing today you can simulate through computer, but contact patch, noise simulations, you can do a lot of different things. But you know, nowadays it's really, really difficult to come up with a tread design that is unique. And I think that's one of the things that really stands out about our Patagonia MT is it looks completely different than anything on the market, at least until Kumo tried to knock it off. Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you know, our tread design, if you've seen it, it's very, very different. It has what looks like a center rib and large lateral shoulder blocks. So it looks by first glance, you'd look at it and think, wow, that tire's got to be loud. But believe it or not, it's probably the quietest MT on the market today. And the reason for that is because, you know, our tire has a slight crown to it. So it's not a square flat tire like you see, like a BFG KO2, for example, is very square and round and flat, or excuse me, square and flat, where ours has more of a crown to it. So that crown, just a very, very slight crown, allows you to keep the majority of your contact patch on that center rib. And that center rib, because it is almost like a rib, gives you an incredibly quiet ride compared to something that has breaks in the blocks. Every time you have a break in a tread block in your contact patch, that's what creates that noise for you. But you air down the Patagonia MT, and then the large side lugs on the shoulders obviously engage and give you the great off-road traction. The other nice thing about the center rib is it gives you lateral stability in an air down or an off-road situation. Yeah, there's a good shot of the tread design. So a very, very unique tread design in the off-road segment, and unlike anybody else's. And it's really, I think it's grown on a lot of people. At first, we had comments, you name it. Even Martin thought it was an ugly tire when he first saw it. But
are you kidding? My interview with this dude, and he's like, "This is what we got. This is Patagonia MT. This is a winner." And I was like, man, that might be the ugliest tire I've ever seen. But like, it's grown on me, man. Like, it's
totally
instantly recognizable. Like people,
and you drive on it and you believe it. I no joke. I mean, you ask anybody who's driven on them. Yeah, you hear the guys that you like any tire, you're going to get the haters or the naysayers, and
it's not like my Toyos.
People are passionate about their tires, just like we're passionate about your Nissans or your Toyotas or your Jeeps. Everybody's loyal and has a background with their tires, and it's like a sports team. You talk crap on the other guy, and you brag about your product. But we've got a lot of people that have tested it and believe in it. And I've got a lot of miles on them on a lot of different vehicles and love them. Obviously we're a little biased, so I would encourage you to ask someone who doesn't work for the company, but the
information is not hard to find these days. It's not.
Yep.
And that's by design. We encourage anybody that might be a partner with us or affiliated with us in some manner, just speak candidly. Like, talk about your experience. Like, people don't just want, it's the best tire in the world. Like, no one's gonna believe you. Like, I won't believe you. And why would I want to tell you to say that? That's stupid. And it's insulting to the consumer. And it's twice as insulting to the enthusiast, period.
And every single tire has its pros and cons, and it's all a compromise. You know, the compromise you get from that center rib, because it's so quiet, is that it doesn't have, in certain instances, if you're at street air pressure, you're not going to have as much traction. So there's always a plus and a minus, but you make it to do the best all around with certain focus areas.
So how do you decide what tire compound to run?
Testing.
So yeah, we test multiple compounds in your development process, and you see what, because again, this is a compromise. You want something that's going to give you the grip on and off road, but it's got to be something that has a lifespan that is what I'll call acceptable. And in the MT category, you know, most tires are going to run anywhere from 25 to 40,000 miles. And our Patagonia MT is right in that category, in that range. And it really depends on the vehicle, how well it's maintained. I mean, you got to keep them rotated. And
Tire
as
pressure,
we all know, tire pressure
factory,
and rotations,
factory
if you don't rotate them, we recommend every 3,000 miles, just because they're going to cup. An MT tire, I don't care the brand or the model, they're all going to cup if you don't keep them rotated.
Or heel toe, right? Where the front of the block is gonna be higher than the rear of the block, which is why certain trucks, you can hear them coming half a mile down the road, because that thing's just, it's, and some people like that. Like, this is what I'm saying. The market, and he's saying the same thing, the market's so broad, there's so many consumers that, like, some of them want that aggressive sound in addition to the look, you know, and they may not be performance focused, right? Their qualifications might be aesthetics and durability in terms of how many miles did I get out of that set on my 3/4 ton or 1 ton. Sorry, I keep reading some of these things. So one guy are we supposed to answer these, or are you supposed to ask them?
You can answer. Yeah. If you see it, sure.
So one guy, Mr. Snodgrass, asked about All USA. The company is USA owned. The Patagonia MT is made in Indonesia. That is 100% the case. Any DOT tire is going to say on the sidewall where it's made. It's law. So if it's a DOT product, it's going to say where it's made, and we don't hide that either, to be frank.
Yeah, and we build in Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam. Those are our 3 primary countries of origin. We don't today import any passenger or light truck products from China. I see Eric asking about the center rib. Is it more durable because it makes the majority of the contact patch? As far as the tread compound is the same across the Patagonia MT for the center rib as well as the outer blocks.
So one thing, because we were talking about compounding and then you're talking about block design. Those are 2 separate things, and they're 2 different functions, right? And when you want to test how soft a tire is, you press down with your thumb on the lug where there's no serration or there's no perforation, where it's a big chunk of the rubber, and you push down, and that really tells you softness or hardness of the tire. If there's siping or any sort of groove, and you go like this with your thumb and you're rotating in this manner, that's actually the block design, and the block design is designed to deflect. So that's why it's like, when you're driving down the road, our tire does have that crown, right? Low rolling resistance. And that doesn't mean it doesn't have good braking characteristics. That's not the case at all. It's a great contact patch. And because it's got the beveled edges, braking and acceleration and turn in, the block doesn't deflect as much because it's wider at the base than it is at the top. So the blocks, it doesn't have that leverage on the center. And then when you air down, let's say 10, 12 PSI if you have bead locks, 18 if you don't, the outer lugs engage. And when you're using those, you'll see that it's got a big groove on the outer lugs. That is the leverage. And so when you get those biting edges that roll, that's additional traction. So it was designed with that in mind. They really tried to get a good performing, value-oriented tire. Let's just say it's a price leader in the category. We understand that. And why are we saying value? Because you do have the performance. It's a 3-ply sidewall. It's got the enthusiast sizes. It's true to size. How many times do you hear your buddies complain, it's not a real 35, it's not a real 33? Oh, you should buy that. It's actually a 35. You know, that's a conversation, you know. And so when we talk about it, that's what we mean about value. It's a 37, it's a 37. If it's a 35, it's a 35. Our 40 is 39.8 inches. You know what? I mean, there's some legends of 40s getting 70,000 miles. That's cool, bro. I mean, that's great. But we can stack up there in terms of size and product category, and we're half the price. That's a hard argument to have, right? I mean, some people, they want the name, and there's value to that. And I appreciate that. I respect to Toyo. I respect to Nitto. I respect to BFG. There's a reason why they have their following, and there's a reason why those tires are held in such high regard, because they're well made. We're just changing the conversation and saying we can build something that's not a knockoff of the original BFG mud terrain, because every one of those tires is pulling from that design, right? Ours is unique, and it has its own little faults. 100%. We're not saying it's perfect, but for what you're buying, it's a lot of value.
But it works.
It does work.
So I want to go back to the crown comment. You talked about having the crown. You also talking about air pressures and stuff that you're running. Do you have to run a higher inflation to keep that crown, or is it just naturally built into the tire so the crown will always be there? And what do you recommend for people when they want some on-road tire pressures?
So it's naturally built into the tire, just the way it's designed. And from an air pressure standpoint, you do not run higher or lower than OE recommended pressure. And there's this old myth of the contact patch, and people will chalk the tires and then run them and make sure that they've got full contact. And if you don't have full contact, you've got too much air pressure in it or too little air pressure. That is not the case. And that model should not be used for these tires. You run the OE pressure that it says in your door placard and rotate these every 3,000 miles, and they will wear outstanding for you as long as your vehicle's aligned and your shocks are in good shape. You know, the rest of the maintenance story goes. So
don't drive on them with terrible alignment for 3 months. And not.
You should not.
No, you shouldn't.
Hey,
So
Mr. Snodgrass.
I see an air pressure question from Rick here. Are those air down pressures company line, or can you really go lower? So really that's a personal preference issue, and it's going to come down to your vehicle weight and what you like. And you know, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer there. We have guys that run 6 to 8 PSI all day on the Patagonia MT with incredible success. Woody from I Hate Mud, I think he runs like 5 or 6 PSI, but he's got a really lightweight buggy that he's running them on.
Yeah,
if you got something heavier.
Nate Christensen, he's got that new Portal car, and he's got the 40-inch Black Label Patagonia, which is our it's a softer compound. It's not sticky. I'm going to put that out there. It's about 10 to 12 degrees of durometer softer. So it's, you know, everybody complains, well, I don't want to run my red labels on the road. 100%. I mean, that's an expensive tire, and you see it starts chunking as you drive down the road. So the Black Label is really targeted to that, you know, enthusiast that doesn't want a DOT, but doesn't want something that's just going to wear out super quickly, like a like a pencil eraser. So he found that his old car, non-portal, 8 PSI in Sand Hollow. 6 cold, as the tire warms up with use, 8 PSI hot. He found that he lost a tire at Trail Hero this year because he was using his old tire pressure method. But he had 4 times the amount of torque leveraged on the tire. And so tire pressure in those extreme conditions, I asked him to bump it up 2 PSI, no failures, same amount of traction. He had no issue. And we're talking extreme buggy stuff here. It's if you have a JK and you're snow wheeling, buddy, if you got beadlocks, put it at 4 PSI, 3 PSI, have fun in those snow fields. You know what I mean? You got to talk about condition, experience. That's why Jeep clubs or wheeling with friends is important. You know, it's shared experience, right? Keep you from those pitfalls. But tire pressure on the road, OE pressure, like Andrew said, and then when you're off road, just depends on your wheels and just depends on what you're comfortable with.
So I'm sure this is a huge rabbit hole here, but how do you choose an off-road tire?
Well, I think that a lot of factors go into it. I think anybody that's in the market, or how do I'm not going to reference how I would choose an off-road. All right, Ben, you know, if you're an average consumer that's trying to choose an off-road tire, what are you going to look at? Well, one, you're going to believe, you're going to talk to people. You're going to ask somebody that you think is a credible opinion leader, if you will. What their feedback or what their recommendations are. You're going to research on the internet. You're going to look at price, because price is important too. You know, a lot of off-roaders don't have unlimited budgets, and they've got to buy a tire that they believe is going to give them a good value, which is kind of where we've carved out a huge niche for ourselves, in that people see it, that it's an affordable price. It's readily available nationwide at almost every retail outlet. And you can get it for a good price, and it works. And everybody's got to make that decision of, do you spend more money for a household brand name, or are you okay spending less money and getting something that's good, that has a lot of good reviews and a lot of feedback on the internet?
And videos. I mean, you can find videos talking about people's experience, good and bad. I mean, it's all out there, right? And when people, I'd like to think when we get opportunities to try and talk to people, we do. You know, sometimes you're not gonna make people happy. You just aren't. You know, sometimes people just take that experience and that's it, right? You know, be it for better or for worse. But we're fortunate to work with really great partners, and the distribution is half the battle. Working with people like Northridge, when Northridge entire policy is customer service, that's priority one. And if you have an issue, you go to them and they take care of business. And that's why we want to work with them all the time, because if their customer has an issue, and they bring it to us, we know it's legitimate. It's not some like whatever, like, oh, I don't like the aesthetic on this tire. It's like, no, like the dude's like, all right, so I was off-road and I don't know if it's supposed to pop like this, but you know, I wasn't really that hard. Well, how fast were you going? About 20 miles an hour. I was like, I could tell that because I could like I put my hand right through the sidewall right there. Like, that's kind of gnarly. You know, tire pressure and driving, it's important. But like those are things that we're able to have. We're fortunate for that. Like I said, we don't always get it right. I don't always get it right, but we really do try to be flexible, and like, we're realists, dude. He has a Jeep, I have a Jeep. We've been there. Like, we just try to bring that enthusiast perspective and from our peers and people we want to work with and we do work with into the product. Like, straight up, we built a 38, right? That was his thing. He built a 38 because we didn't have a 30. When we first got here, the MT didn't even have a 37, 12, 50, 17. That's a super generic size these days, right? Didn't even exist. What did we have? A 38, 15, 50, 20. And you're like, what are you doing? You don't even have a 37.
If you go to Florida, you'll see 38, 15, 50, 20s, but
I
Florida's
believe
about
that.
it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Indiana and Illinois, because we
There's a
have
few.
people.
There's a few pockets, but it's like that's the brodozer size on steroids. That's the
Yeah.
grown up brother of the 35, 12, 50, 20.
Yeah. And then so he's like, we got to have a 37. So the first year we go to EJS, we have the first set of 37s on his JK. We drive out there 80 miles an hour, no weights. And I mean, 80 miles an hour, you know if a tire's got a vibe. If a tire's out of round, tire's wrong, you're going to feel it. Smooth sailing. We were like, is this for real? You know? And then, you know, we drive it, we wheel it. Well, 6 months later, he had commissioned a 38 and a 40. And we did a 38 because he was worried that we wouldn't be able to build a 40. Because it's like an extra $5 million to get a machine that can handle the molds. Like you spend $50,000 on a mold, but the machine to hold it, not every machine is capable of that, right? When they're building 215, 50, 16s, you know what I mean? Like there's a big variance there. So we found out that we were able to build both sizes. We built both sizes, and then we were starting to get excited, and it's like, how about we make a soft compound? I was like, no, there's no way. We ended up with the soft compound first before the DOT. That was it. And our soft compound is DOT. We say it's not highway rated because rapid wear issues. We need a way to identify it from the actual DOT 40 or the DOT black label products, because we have the black label in 40s, 38s, and 37s. And listen, you can buy that tire from Northridge. You buy it from Discount Tire. Both of them ship for free to your door.
So this last question here is always a hot topic. Besides choosing a tire size, is when should you choose a mud terrain or an all terrain? And now you can get the hybrid tires thrown in the mix there. When might someone want to choose? Maybe we throw the hybrid out. When might someone choose one or the other, the all terrain over the mud terrain?
So it really depends on the amount of driving you do in dedicated off-road instances. But 9 times out of 10, what determines the buying decision is what they want the vehicle to look like, unfortunately. So people tend to lean towards the more aggressive tire because they want the look, but it's not necessarily the need. I mean, you could take an AT tire or a hybrid tire and do just about as much in the average off-road adventure. What we do is not average off-road. If you're going to go rock crawling or do something crazy extreme, that's not what the average person does. So for the average person, an AT or a hybrid will work just fine. And our hybrid, again, is built off the same carcass, the same 3-ply sidewall, the same cut and chip compound as the MT. So you could literally do anything that the MT does with the hybrid, but it gives you more. Well, for one, it carries the 3-peak mountain snowflake, so it works. Martin wants a pretty Jeep too, Rick.
Yeah, unfortunately, Martin can't drive well enough to keep one, but you know, he still wants one.
So, you know, it really just depends on the individual, on the vehicle, and their normal buying or driving habits. Excuse me, but most people tend to buy it based on looks, and the hybrid actually achieves both those because it's still going to give you more like AT like on-road mannerisms, but it's strong enough and stout enough and comes in the sizes you want that you could take it off-road when you need to go off-road.
Yeah, and to more to the point, let's talk about the growth of the enthusiast market. You know, Wrangler had its best selling year ever last year. They sold more Wranglers than ever before. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot of vehicles. So the accessibility, you know, is much greater. And so it means that we've got to have more conversations like this with gentlemen like yourselves, different backgrounds. Everybody's owned a Jeep. Now everybody owns something different or not the same Jeep. And it's, changes in life happen, or just sometimes you just want to drive something different. But the consumer is in the same exact way, same exact thing where, hey man, how far can I take this? Hey, what can't I do with this? Because vehicles are so good now. Like electrical controlling nannies aside, right? Because of ABS and stability control, I don't know if there's ever been a better time for 4x4 vehicles. I mean, Ford literally they resurrected the Bronco because Jeep was eating their lunch. And Toyota, they barely got the TRD Pro through. If you talk to any Toyota engineer, corporate really didn't care to make a more aggressive version, right? That's why they got away with it. You show that trailer and I'm like, hey, what does it say in the front? TRD. And TRD is that subset within the company that can push for those things, right? But I'm telling you, they probably compiled 6 years of data and market analysis in order to make and justify building that product. So why is this happening? Why would Toyota make that trailer? Because the consumer wants it. So I think that's one of the best things that we see today, the diversity of vehicles. How hard is it to get something from Mitsubishi, anything, but like any of their four-wheel drives, right? Like it's tough, right? But if you get a Wrangler, you get a Tacoma, and I'm sure the Bronco's already got 1 million accessories, dude. It has more accessories without being released than the Wrangler does today. That's crazy. That's because Ford is targeting all those people. So that's what the exciting thing is. As enthusiasts, it's never been a better time. Never been a better time.
Definitely. I remember buying my JK, and there was a handful of guys to get stuff from it. Now you get more options.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the parts manufacturing, that blows my mind. There's sometimes you think that someone's going to stop building parts for things these days, especially dumpsters. XJs, and
I agree.
and then all of a sudden you just get someone comes up with something new or a new version of it, or again value. Like how many times you see it's like someone's like they take it, they modify it, and it's a little less expensive or easier to get. Again, the enthusiast market, it's never been a better time.
Well, guys, we appreciate you coming on. We were able to find you, but how can our listeners find you?
So we're on Facebook, obviously, and there are three main pages that I would suggest checking out. There's just Milestar Tires, which is our main page that covers all of our tread patterns. There's Milestar Off-Road, which is specifically targeted at everything off-road, Milestar. And then if you're a Jeep guy, there is the Milestar Jeep group that also has a ton of great interaction and feedback from wear patterns to air pressures to rotations to just overall experiences. And it's, even though it's labeled the Milestar Jeep group on Facebook, there are guys in there that aren't Jeep guys. So don't be intimidated. But there's a ton of good info there. Yeah. We welcome Toyota guys and Nissan guys and Ford guys and everybody else. But the majority of what you'll see in there is Jeeps, but there's a lot of good info in there. It's kind of like an old school forum. And you'll find your haters in there too, but there's a lot of good info in there. We're also obviously milestartires.com is our website where you can get all of the specifications on all of our products. Not just the Patagonia line, but all of them.
And we have 16 different product lines. When we say we make everything, we even make tires for the Sprinter vans, right? Which are really weird, like 195, 65, 16C, which is a commercial grade tire. When we say we make everything, we make everything. We make a trailer tire. Someone asked about that. We make a G load range trailer tire. It's a 235 80 16, and it's it's badass. Let's just say there are some paid athletes from some other maybe more reputable tire brands that buy that tire to run on their trailers to haul their race vehicles than their sponsored tires. They like that tire so much.
Our all steel construction trailer tires are badass. If you've got guys that are blowing out trailer tires, you should check them out because they will be thrilled. Nothing worse than blowing out a trailer tire.
Mm-hmm.
Is that under the Milestar?
Yeah.
So there we have the Milestar Steel Pro AST is the all steel construction in a 16-inch trailer tire.
That's a one size tire. Yeah.
It is beef. 4,400 pound carrying capacity per tire. So I mean it's just stout. And then we can also be found on Instagram. We've got our Instagram page is killer. Yeah, I'm a little bit biased, but if you check out our stories every day, you'll see a ton of awesome enthusiast shots.
Yeah, shots, videos, people using it. I mean, it's there, man. The information's. Some people are like, oh, it's just hype. Oh, they're paid. They're blah 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 blah. It's like, cool, man. Like, I mean, cool. Like, you want to go run? Let's go run. Like this. That's our philosophy. That's a lot of our people's philosophy. Our ambassadors or our partners. You know, they like, cool. Like, let me show you what I can do. That's what's exciting, man.
Are you guys gonna start a MeWe page?
A MeWe?
That's everybody's jumping off Facebook, going to MeWe and
Parlor.
Parlor, yeah.
Hey man, I just jumped off Facebook. I don't need that craziness, bro. I like Instagram because I just like them pictures. I'm very specific on who follows me too, because that content feed, like, sometimes it gets overwhelming. But there's a lot of good stuff out there. I love following old hot rod pages. Like, it's just, you're just a gearhead, but it's cool to see, man. There's so much to see. But our website's pretty state of the art. Every bit of information we have on that tire or anything we make is there. Sometimes you got to click a button to get full specifications, but that's there. We even have the interactive garage on there where you can click on it. It's going to take you to a link. And if it's like the last 10 years of manufactured vehicles, you can put wheels, tires, lift kits. You can get any Patagonia. You can see what a Patagonia is going to look like on your vehicle, your truck, your Jeep, your Tacoma, doesn't matter. And it's a real rendering. If it's a 295 7017, you can see what it looks like with a body lift or like a little suspension lift on your Tacoma. Like, it's pretty cool. Our website's really interactive because we know that's where people want to see it. They hear people talk about it. You got to make that landing page look good and be high quality.
We appreciate you guys having us on too. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah,
thanks, fellas.
John. Yeah. Well, we also want to thank everyone who tunes in to us every week to listen, and also to those who are sticking with us through this almost 2-hour long YouTube broadcast. We really appreciate you guys. Help us out, share us with your friends if you like what we're doing. Help us get our name out there.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren and Power Tank to see all of their great gear. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.tv or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com, Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun. Safe and courteous.
Dedicated listener. You got to like Mr. Snodgrass.